Hello world! My name is Sandy and I am a principal architect for Google Cloud Security. In this video, we'll be reviewing AI Runbooks, specifically the Enrichment Runbook. Now this runbook aims to provide context for the Tier 1 analyst to help determine whether or not to escalate a case based on an indicator of compromise, or an IOC. Now, what are AI Runbooks exactly? Simply put, they are building blocks or a knowledge base. For my Linux folks out there, think of them like man pages for the LLM. These become really effective to codify context and procedures that can align to roles within specific security practices and ecosystems. Now, before we continue, there are some prerequisites to get all of this agentic goodness going. First, enough of an understanding of Model Context Protocol so that you will be able to install and configure the Google Security Operations MCP servers along with your clients of choice. For the demo in this video, I will be using Klein. Lastly, the AI Runbooks get cloned in order to establish the SIEM links for your client of choice. There is also an introduction to AI Runbooks video authored by my peer, Dan Dye, that delves into the structure of these runbooks and how they work across the different platforms. If I'm throwing a lot at you, no worries, I will provide links in the description below to get you squared away. Now let's jump right into it. I'm going to go in Klein, and I'm going to start my prompt with, I have the suspicious hash. Here's the hash. Please follow the basic IOC Enrichment runbook to analyze it properly using our documented procedures. Hit enter, and while this marinates, let's talk through what this runbook is actually doing. Now, when it comes to runbooks, there is no shortage of choices to dabble with, but we are here to focus on the IOC Enrichment runbook. You will notice that we are specifying which tools for each MCP server and the associated common steps. Think of the common steps as sub-runbooks. These sub-runbooks have dedicated tasks or workflows that they would then pass the data to the main runbook. If you're familiar with playbook building in SOAR, think of these as logical blocks that are reusable across multiple runbooks. Now, this is a lot of text, so let's move on to a sequence diagram to visualize and help explain this runbook better. And yes, this was generated and created by the LLM. So let's start at the top. For this enrichment runbook, we will be utilizing the Google Threat Intelligence, Security Operations, and SOAR MCP servers as shown here. And these markdown files over here? These are the common steps that I described earlier that are associated with this runbook. Now let's talk about all of these aqua lines in this center region here. We can break this down in 3 parts to describe the relationships shown. The white text and aqua lines that end at the MCP servers are the tools that are being utilized. The lines at the end of the common steps are the placeholder variables that are being defined. The dotted lines going back to the client or agent are the responses. So starting with the top half, once the indicator value is received from the user prompt, the agent then goes out to enrich it using the workflow defined in the Enrich IOC common step. It will then respond with the findings from Google Threat Intelligence, perform an entity lookup, and check if there are any recent entity matches in SecOps. All of this information then gets passed to the next common step, Pivot on IOC GTI, where it will loop through the identifiers of the indicators provided and store those relationship entities. This will respond with those relevant relationships from Google Threat Intelligence, and this information then gets passed back to the agent, where it will then construct the queries to search for recent SIEM events in SecOps. The agent will also query within the SOAR cases. This is the find relevant SOAR cases common step, where it will collect the case IDs, summaries, and current status. All of the data and findings then get passed back to the human analyst to make an assessment of risk. This could be to escalate the case, to close it because it's a false positive, or work to trigger an action like containment. The agent will also provide potential next steps based on these findings. For the alt statements you see here, if a case ID was provided in the original prompt, it would then post all of these findings to the case wall. If no case ID was provided, then this step is skipped entirely. Lastly, the human analyst is then prompted to generate a markdown report of this enrichment. Now let's go check on our agents to see what the current status is. We can see here that the agent has completed all of the steps listed, such as enriching the indicator, by performing the lookup in Google Threat Intelligence, correlating it within SIEM and SOAR, searching for recent and relevant events and cases, and generating this beautiful markdown report on the right. Let's dig into the details, shall we? Here we can see key risk indicators with a very high fidelity that this is a banking Trojan. And there are 14 breach alerts that are being alerted on in my environment. If we scroll down a bit, we can see sampling sizes from the sandbox, along with the Mandiant score and severity. The command and control contacted domains confirms for me that these are part of the active breach IOCs. And when we look to the SIEM analysis, we can see the exact role matches. What's more impressive, and usually the most time-consuming for analysts, is even though I only provided a single hash value in my original prompt, I'm actually getting the correlating IOCs and alert matches for the command and control domains. It also has listed for me all of the relevant cases that match these indicators. When looking at the risk assessment, it has identified and attributed this to the ursnif malware family. And whoopsie, it looks like it's been in this environment for the last 16 months. So I think it's safe to say I should escalate this case. But before I do, let's fact check the LLM a bit. Let's validate that these cases actually exist in SecOps. Now that I've pulled up SecOps for the side-by-side, I'm going to perform a SOAR case search. Let's pick the first one I see, case 19399, and it looks like we actually have a match. But let's confirm it's not hallucinating and that it is actually part of the same event. We can see here, even in the Gemini investigation summary, that it has also come to the same consensus that this is part of the ursnif malware activity. It looks like we have a match. And that's a wrap for this episode on AI Runbooks. As you've seen, this isn't just about automation, it's about empowerment. By turning complex, repetitive tasks into intelligent, automated workflows, you're not just speeding things up, you're freeing up your analyst's most valuable resource, their time. Imagine what your team can achieve when they're focused on critical thinking and strategic analysis instead of manual, tedious tasks. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.